Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge.
All I got is bourbon.
Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Here we're back at it with, I think, an important topic for the whiskey community. So we're going to dive into 4 whiskey trends that I think we are going to see more in 2026, right? So these are 4 whiskey trends we're going to see a lot more in 2026. It's funny because I actually had a couple friends over, some of my neighbors who are big whiskey guys and ladies as well. And we were talking about things that we believe will happen in 2026 even more than 2025. So these are 4 whiskey trends that we're going to dive into. Before I jump into these 4 whiskey trends, a couple updates for the channel. Really excited. So for tomorrow, we are releasing to our Patron community a double barrel pick, a Reveries barrel pick, along with a Sagamore. And then the following week, we're going to be doing another 2 double barrel picks with Wild Turkey. So myself and my good friends Josh and Aaron over at Stuff and Whiskey, we're doing a double barrel pick, or we did a double barrel pick with Wild Turkey. So we're releasing 2 Russell's Reserve single barrels that are just insane. And then also for the Judge community coming up right after that, a couple weeks later, we did a Joseph Magnus single barrel that is epic. And then we also did an Old Louisville barrel pick, and I'll dive into the Old Louisville later on, but that one too, just amazing, absolutely amazing. So really excited for our Judge community. We have some epic single barrels coming up very shortly in the next couple weeks here, which is cool. All right, so Judge, what are these 4 trends? So these 4 trends, you know, it's funny because I saw them in 24, I saw them happening in 25, but it's almost like they're starting to gain almost like a snowball effect, right? They're really starting to kind of develop, and you're seeing it more and more and more. And I'm going to give you examples of each one. Is that cool? All right. So the first whiskey trend of 2026 that I think you'll see more and more of is the focus on craft distilleries. So I brought out a couple different craft distilleries. I brought out, as just example, right? So this is Southern Grace Distillery. Also, you probably know their Southern Grace, their Conviction, the infamous Double Oak. Doing a barrel pick with them next week, by the way. Amazing quality whiskey. This is Detling out of Alabama. Also fantastic. And one of my favorite distilleries ever, Middle West Spirits out of Columbus, Ohio. So what I love about craft distilleries is the fact that they are producing, in many occasions, very unique either mash bills or variations, like, you know, Middle West Spirits does that whole either the ported pumpernickel rye or the standard pumpernickel rye. You know, Southern Grace, like their mash bills are a little bit unique and different, but produce some fantastic quality whiskey. And then Detling is just chocolate all day long, right? Literally, it's whiskey in the form of chocolate all day long. So the cool thing about craft distilleries, it's not the standard, you know, everyday shelfer that you would normally get, right? Very unique craft distilleries, very unique mash bills, very unique bottles. So that's what I love about craft distilleries, and I think that's the reason why more people are starting to gravitate toward craft distilleries. So that is the number 1 trend you'll see more and more of. I think you'll see a lot more people buying craft distillery products versus chasing these really big allocated bottles. Cool? All right. So number 2, Judge, what is the number 2 whiskey trend in 2026? Well, I just kind of left off with it. While everyone loves a good allocated bottle, right? And this, it's all good, right? Everyone, including myself, yours truly, we love a good allocated bottle once in a while. I think you actually will start to see less allocated whiskey, people hunting for less allocated whiskey, and more things sitting on shelves. And I say allocated, but you can also call it like harder to find bottles. So let me give you a couple examples. So Shinks and Bombergers, going back 4 or 5 years ago, it was so hard to find Shinks and Bombergers 4 to 5 years ago. Now, at least by me, in Delaware, Maryland, certain places in New Jersey, even when I go like down south to certain states, I honestly see Shinks, Bombergers just sitting on the shelf or in like the case. They're sitting there, right? Because a little bit more expensive, $1.30, $1.40, $1.50, whatever the exact price is in that market. People would rather buy something that's, you know, from a craft distillery where it's like $60, $70. fantastic whiskey versus getting something that's really allocated. So again, this is another example of whiskey that, in my humble opinion, it's really good whiskey, but is it really always worth $1.50, right? When you can get something cheaper, same level of quality, if not even better. So harder to find bottles, I think you're gonna start seeing them sitting on shelves, as these are sitting on the shelf by me all over, and I mean all over. That is the number 2 trend, right? Allocated slash harder to find bottles just sitting on shelves. All right, before I get to number 3 and number 4, real quick, 3 quick easy favors. Number 1, hit the like button. Number 2, drop me a comment. Let me know what are some other whiskey trends that you think people will see in 2026, ones that I did not cover. And then last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you get notification each and every time I release new content. Cheers. Right here. Woo! This is the wheat whiskey, right? Middle West Spirits wheat whiskey. Amazing. One of my single barrels, but just their wheat whiskey in general. Fantastic. All right. So Judge, what is number 3? What's the number 3 trend and why? This one, I think this has started to really gain a lot of traction probably in early 2025 as inflation and price increases across the board. I think people are very much more price aware or price conscious, if you will, of the bottles. People know exactly what they want, and more people would prefer quality at a very budget-friendly price point versus going out and spending a ton of cash on something that has a really great brand, but is it really worth it, right? So price awareness is the number 3. Essentially, people want value, $60, $70 or less. Great example, Green River Foolproof, $50, $60 bottle, depending on where you get it, right? Taxes in your state, right? $50, $60 that you can find all over, and amazing, truly quality whiskey, like really good quality whiskey. You can say Green River. I could have put a Rare Breed in the same category, $60 bottle, but I just stuck with Green River for today as an example. Versus a Willet Purple Top. And this is actually, I even grabbed the wrong one, but you get the point, right? Make this purple. Versus a Willet Purple Top, which they typically range anywhere from, $300 to like $700 for what? An age statement anywhere from like 7 to like 10 years. So truly, do you want to pay $600-$700 for a 10-year Willet Purple Top when you can get a fantastic either Green River Foolproof or a Rare Breed for $60 at best? I'm telling you, as an example, by me in Maryland, Delaware, even New Jersey, Willet Purple Tops are literally sitting behind the counters or in the little special glass cases, and they are sitting there. The reason why? Because no one wants to spend all that money when you can easily go out and buy, you can buy 10 Green River Foolproofs or 10 Rare Breeds for the price of one Willet Purple Top. People are aware of what they want to spend. Price conscious. All right, that's the number 3 trend for 2026. Judge, what is number 4? What is the last whiskey trend that you think will be very impactful and people will recognize in 2026? The last one, number 4, is I would say the focus on private groups and their associated single barrels, right? As an example, I talked earlier about an upcoming barrel pick for even my community, the Bourbon Judge community, right? So the whiskeytube world. This hasn't released yet. This is my old Louisville barrel pick, aged 11 years. This one, by the way, we call this one the Dusty. Our team picked this, and it is truly amazing. We called it a Dusty because it has like that certain taste in the palate. It tastes like a whiskey from like the 50s or the 60s. It is truly epic. Hence the reason why people are really into single barrels, right? By the way, check out Old Louisville. If you have not checked out Old Louisville, Amin, the owner there, has some amazing quality whiskey in his collection. So definitely check out Old Louisville. I'll do more on this one in a future episode. But I would say, other than myself, there are other whiskey tubers out there as well, right? That are producing fantastic barrel picks. My good friends Trenton and Kurt over at SLB, Josh and Aaron over at Stuff and Whiskey, and the list goes on. There's so many other like different private groups doing their own single barrels, and each group has like their own kind of palette and preference of things that they like for their community. That's the cool thing about single barrels. You're getting typically great quality whiskey based off of that group's palate, preference, and so forth. But there's other groups out there as well, above and beyond whiskey tube groups. There's like Facebook groups, right? Every state has or multiple within the state, multiple different like Facebook groups that do single barrels, or even just private groups, even outside of Facebook, right? So there's a real big focus on single barrels. It has been in 2025, and I think it's going to be even more in 2026, primarily because you can get fantastic quality whiskey versus always chasing these bottles that are $600, $700, $800. Value, value, value. All right, my friends, as we say in this courtroom, peace, cheers, most important, salute. Take care. See you guys.